Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching me from. It's a welcome you to your favorite sports show where a common voice meet global sport intelligence. I am your host, Kyle Dojo, and I'll be giving you the world's biggest sports story with sharp analysis, with honesty, and with the passion that it truly deserves. Are you an European football fan wherever you are, particularly following the UEFA Champions League? I tell you, this particular episode is actually prepared and ready to be served for you. Before we go straight to our talking point, which is the UEFA Champions League quarterfinal clashes that is going to happen this week, mouth-watching clashes everywhere, some major parts, some major city in Europe, and that's what you're going to be getting from UEFA in the Champions League this week. But before we go there, let's give you some very major sports stories across the globe where we have Ronaldo adding to the numbers of goals that he has scored for Al Nassr, adding to the numbers of goals that he has scored in his career with that fantastic brace that he made over the weekend. 5 goals to 2 in favor of Al Nassr. Ronaldo edged closer to his 1,000 milestone target. He is now on 967 goals, and the legend is not stopping anytime soon. Now that victory for Al Nassr actually marked their 13th consecutive league victory, which has actually strengthened their position on the top of the Saudi Pro League. Now with 967 goals, Cristiano Ronaldo will edge his name in gold forever if he is able to actually meet up with his 1,000 career milestone that is targeted, and that's 33 goals left for him to meet up with such a target. That is a great one from the legend there, Cristiano Ronaldo, and we wish him all the best in his quest to actually meet up with our 1,000 milestone. Now let's go to international scene where Nigerian football midfielder Alex Iwobi has actually come to apologize for his actions in the friendly match against Jordan, where he was red carded when Nigeria ended the match 2-2. They drew the match 2-2, and Iwobi has come to say he actually take responsibility for his action for that red card, and he knows that from that he will learn a lot and it will actually make him a better player. I hope, because when you look at the video of that encounter, you will think something actually, probably the World Cup means, actually take a lot of his toll on Alex Iwobi in that reaction. And remembering that these Jordanians are going to the World Cup and I'm not going to the World Cup, then why are you dragging me back? And I think that was what made him to actually put up that kind of show, which of course he has actually come out to apologize for that. Now let's take you to the world of athletics, where we tell you that Onojuwewo, Nigerian, has actually set a world lead as Ogundiran actually breaks NAIA record. Now Delta State born Ella Onojuwewo actually continues her scintillating 2026 season with a blistering 49.59 seconds run over the 400 meter at the Battle on the Bayou in Louisiana, right there in the United States of America. Yeah, she's actually setting a new world lead and rewriting the record books. Now, Ella's performance is the fastest by a Nigerian woman since Palilat Ogunkoya, who ran 49.52 seconds in 1998, and she is the first sub 50 seconds 400 meter by a Nigerian woman since 1999. Ella, who was competing for Louisiana State University, saw her efforts not only secured victory at the meet, but also set a Louisiana State University record and the NCAA season lead, and that ranks as the 10th fastest time in NCAA history. Now, her position actually also make her to be 7th on the African all-time list and 4th on Nigeria all-time performance list. Now, Ella, who has actually been having a fantastic season so far, actually made that run made her the fastest woman globally for the indoor season, and an LSU school record, which is actually consolidating every of our performance this 2026. I tell you, these athletes, they actually do all they can in making sure they are at top level, and when the occasion calls for it, they are actually delivering. And that's what is of Ella in our season so far. Now let's take it straight to another news in the world of boxing. Wilder cuts out Joshua after beating Chisora. Now after his win over Derek Chisora, then Wilder actually came face to face with Anthony Joshua and made his move to try to secure the long-awaited fight with the British Nigerian. Anthony Joshua, who was by the ringside as Wilder defeated the veteran Chisora in a back-and-forth slugfest at London O2 Arena on Sunday. Now, Wilder, who spotted Anthony Joshua on his way to his dressing room after the fight, and after they both exchanged a bump, Wilder made his intention known to AJ and was telling him, "Let's do it." And Joshua just simply held his gaze and offered no response in that tense moment between the two fighters. Don't forget, Joshua has actually been speeding up his preparation for his summer comeback by returning to full training camp, linking up with the former unified heavyweight world champion Olisanta Usyk after the last fight that he won against Jake Paul, that jaw-breaking knockout that he gave to Jake Paul last December. Of course, don't forget, Anthony Joshua, by that same December, some days after that fight against Jake Paul, was involved in an accident where he lost his two closest friends, and is something that is actually trying to get over and recuperating from. But of course, seeing him in the gym with Usyk team is something that actually has brought smile to a lot of his supporters, particularly his fans here in Nigeria and all over the world. And we are hoping that AJ, who is actually expected to return in July, will return not just to fight boxing, but return with a bang. Wilder, meanwhile, insists he's fully healed and ready to face Anthony Joshua. Now let's take you to the world of let's come back to the African continent, where the under-17 African Cup of Nations qualifying teams, they are set, and 16 teams has been confirmed to qualify for this tournament. Guess what? The Flying Eagles of Nigeria they are unable to make it down for this FIFA under-17 African Cup of Nations title. Now the Confederation of African Football has actually confirmed the full list of 16 qualified countries for this 2026 under-17 African Cup of Nations, which is going to be hosted by Morocco, and it will run from April 25th to May 15th, 2026, this tournament will actually serve as a primary qualifier for the FIFA 2026 under-17 World Cup that's going to hold in Qatar later this year in November, in which FIFA actually expanded the participating team as the way they did for the main event of the men World Cup. They're also doing for the under-17, where they'll be having 48 qualifying teams that will be tossing it out in November in Qatar. Now the qualified teams for this African Cup of Nations includes Algeria, we have Angola, we have Cameroon, we have Cote d'Ivoire, we have DR Congo, and we have Egypt, Ethiopia, Ghana, Guinea-Bissau, Mali, Morocco, who is the host, Mozambique, Senegal, South Africa, Tanzania, and Uganda. You want to know why Nigeria is not featuring in this African Cup of Nations? It's because in their qualifying series, in their WAFU qualifying series, they actually lost at the semi-final to their eternal arch rivals, Ghana. Ghana actually defeated Nigeria 2-0 in their semi-final clash. And that was how the Golden Eaglet of Nigeria actually missed out of the African Cup of Nations for the under-17. And of course, they as well missed out of the under-17 FIFA World Cup that's going to come up later this year right there in Qatar. Now let's bring you to England right now, where we give you updates on the FA Cup quarter-final clashes that actually happened over the weekend, where Manchester City trashed Liverpool 4-0, and Chelsea whitewashed Port Vale. Of course, that is expected of the Blues, the struggling Blues, 7-0, while the unimaginable, the unexpected happens again in the match between the league leaders, English Premier League league leaders, Arsenal and Southampton. They lost against Southampton 2-1. A disappointing result there for the Premier League leaders as they missed out on another cup competition, of course, which automatically dashed their hope of not just the quadruple but the triple. Is actually fly. I mean, has become a bird. That hope has become a bird and has fly into the thin air. And of course, don't forget, Arsenal will actually be looking at the possibility of winning a double before the end of this very tasking season for the Gunners. Now, in the FA Cup, 4 teams now remains in the competition. Manchester City, Chelsea, Southampton, and Leeds United, who actually defeated West Ham on penalties 4-2 after they played 2-2 draw after extra time. Now, the draws for the semi-final actually be made and will be played on Saturday 25th and Sunday 26th of April at Wembley Stadium. Now, the semi-final fixtures will include Chelsea will be against Leeds United, while Manchester City will be playing against Southampton. I tell you, if you look at those fixtures on paper, you will think that it's going to be a Chelsea and a Manchester City final. But I tell you, if you are going to trust any club in that semi-final fixtures, I tell you, don't trust the Blues against Leeds United. Don't forget, Faki's team, Leeds United, has the better of Chelsea in this season. 3-0. They defeat Chelsea right there at Stamford Bridge. And of course, we know this is Liam Rossenior, but would there be any difference when that match is going to come up in later this month, in the month 25th of April, Saturday, and 26th of April on Sunday for the boat show. Now, finally, let's go to our major talking point for today, which is the UEFA Champions League 2025-2026 season continues. And it's going to continue with the first leg of the quarterfinal fixtures that includes mouth-watering clashes. And before we go straight to those fixtures, let's just tell you some news that is going on around the teams that are preparing to face each other this week. Harry Kane, who was injured while he was on international duty for England, is actually doing everything possible to actually face Real Madrid test. Now, the highest goal scorer, the present Bayern Munich highest scorer in all competition this season, Harry Kane, took part in the last training session for a match against Real Madrid, and is actually, ready to play. But if he's going to start, that's going to depend on their coach, Vincent Kompany, to see if he has fully recovered from his ankle injury that is actually suffered while on international duty. Don't forget Harry Kane, who is their all-time goal scorer this season, 48 goals in 40 appearances. This is across all competition, including 10 goals in 9 appearances in the UEFA Champions League this season. Is actually a man that Bayern Munich will want to actually be at the fore when they will be playing their quarterfinal fixtures in this midweek. Now, on that of Real Madrid team as well, Jude Bellingham is now 100% fit to actually fight for a start in the Real Madrid lineup that they were facing Bayern Munich this midweek as well, while Vinicius Junior, Kylian Mbappe are both raring to go. Now let's take some news from the Gunners team. Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka, they are both in a race to actually be fit for Arsenal Champions League match against Sporting, while Gabriel is actually in doubt for this match. Man, hearing that news, you will think that will actually be a problem for Arsenal. But of course, with their squad in depth, it shouldn't be a problem. Looking at the likes of Martin Odegaard coming back to the fore, and they are Mikel Arteta trying to make use of Dalman, who is going to be operating from the wing. I don't know how best it will be for this Arsenal team, but I tell you, it's going to be a challenge for them to cope without Bukayo Saka. And the injury room of their midfield, Declan Rice, who has been fantastic all season, for me, is the best player for Arsenal this season He has been fantastic. He has been there week in, week out for the Gunners, but unfortunately, he's actually in doubt. Will he be able to be fit enough to actually start this match? That is actually left for Mikel Arteta and his medical staff to actually decide in these midweek fixtures. Now, let's take you through the fixtures of the first leg for this Champions League quarterfinal stages. On Tuesday, 7th of April, Sporting Lisbon will be hosting Arsenal, while Real Madrid, right there at Bernabeu, will be hosting Bayern Munich. While on Wednesday, the 8th of April, Barcelona, it's going to be an all-Spanish clash as Barcelona will be hosting Atletico de Madrid. Don't forget, these two teams, they actually played over the weekend, and Barcelona had the better of Atletico. With Ademola Lookman, Atletico Madrid actually be able to get the better of Barcelona right there at the Nou Camp. I mean, we have 90 minutes for us to be able to conclude on what exactly is going to be the outcome of that match. And finally, we have the defending champion, Paris Saint-Germain, will be facing the struggling Liverpool right there at Paris. Will Liverpool, who were whitewashed by Manchester City in their FA Cup fixtures, will they be able to actually overcome that pain of defeat and be able to soldier on in Paris against the very attackingly minded Paris Saint-Germain? That is actually left for us to see while the match is actually going to last for 90 minutes. Of course, Dominic Szoboszlai, who for me actually is the best player for Liverpool this season, is actually aired his view, saying conceding those goals, those soft penalty against Manchester City, and the performance we had going 4-0 down is not something that we should be happy about. But of course, they need to move on. They need to get themselves together, and his Lord need to do his magic in order for them to actually turn their form around and give a better show against PSG in that quarterfinal clash they will be having at Paris. Now, I want to thank you all for watching us in today's episode of your favorite sport podcast. Thank you so much to Almighty God for the success of today's podcast. Special thanks to my headline sponsor, The Box Lagos, located at number 63 Banjo Avenue off CMD Road in Magodo here, where you can get the best of fun with their karaoke night, with their salsa night, a lot of football watch parties that is actually always available there, and a lot of celebrity hangouts, as well as you need your car to be washed excellently, then I tell you, you have no other place than to come. To come to right there on the mainland, where you have the experience of the island, is right here in Magodo at The Box Lagos. Guys, I want you to actually have a try out of The Box Lagos, and I tell you, you will never regret it. This is your favorite sport podcast, where a common voice meet global sport intelligence. I will see you in the next episode. Thank you.